Hello, you lovely people. Welcome back to the channel. And I want to, I hope I can clear a few things up here regarding, one was a big long comment that I got, and it was a great comment and a good opinion that he had. And the other one I want to clean up is why foreigners always think, not all, but there's a fair few, and most of them probably haven't even been to the Philippines, that all your relationships in the Philippines will be transactional. And it's simply not true. It's not true. Not with everybody. Because at the end of the day, Filipinos are human beings, and human beings have the same emotions everywhere in the world. Now, there are three mindsets. I don't say two, there are three mindsets. One is the family loyalty with a Filipino, okay? And the other one is the provider, how they look at us or their partner, not necessarily foreigners, but with a traditional Filipino culture. And yes, I know, traditions are dying all over the world, and here so as well, but maybe not as quick as what they are in the West. Women tend to be drawn in, no matter where you are, but because I'm talking about the Philippines, we're talking about here, okay? So, women tend to be drawn into, or, with partners who are honest, direct, and they act as reliable providers and maybe protectors as well. So I think foreign men are often seen as, possessing those qualities, whereas perhaps a Filipino person, boy, man, might not be. Not all, again, not all, but some. And I think this is where a lot of Filipinos, when you talk to a Filipino and you say, well, why don't you want to go with a Filipino? And like a lot of them come out with the same, based on the same story, whereas, many Filipinos are drinkers, so are many foreigners when they come here. Many Filipinos don't take their money back to their wives, before they have a good old drink with their friends after they finish work. And again, I'm not stereotyping here, I'm not saying all, but the comment that I had, it was a big long comment, I think it's about 2 or 3 videos back, and he said that all like a Filipina cannot love a foreigner like she can love her own kind. Well, I disagree with that. And I wrote a comment back to him and I said exactly that. I said, I disagree with that. And I said, what makes you say that? And he did have a good valid point where he says, well, Filipinos can talk properly to Filipinos, in their own language. They have better communication. And I do agree with that. And I'm the first to say that me and my wife, we don't have really deep conversations. And I think that's stems from a couple of reasons. One, my wife probably doesn't understand some of the things that I'm saying. And the second one is that we don't really put ourselves in a position where we have to have heart-to-hearts. We have conversation, but is it deep conversation? Sometimes, but not that much. Now, these transactionals, which is, it's a conditional relationship, really. It's built around hidden agreements, isn't it? And it's like, I will do this for you if I get this back in return. Now, I've never felt like that. My wife has never really asked me for anything. So, I can't just say, well, it's wrong based on my own relationship, but I don't think that's the case with all. It's like a tit for tat, isn't it? A transactional relationship is a tit for tat. I'll give you this if you give me that in return. And I think because there are relationships like that all over the world, it's not just the Philippines, but we're talking of the Philippines here. And I do think it does go on here. And I think as long as the parties in that relationship are happy with that, then it doesn't matter. But for people to think that every relationship in the Philippines is transactional, I think is terrible. And I think many of them, many relationships here are relational and they are unconditional. They're built on a foundation of love, genuine love and affection. And I'm speaking personally here, I do feel an emotional connection with my wife, even after 7 years. The 7-year hitch, don't they say? Or 8, yeah, we've been together for 7 years. They say the 7-year hitch. But I feel a deep, like emotional contact with my wife, or like a relationship with my wife. And I think many people who say that all Filipinos are scammers and that, I think, look, I was scammed when I come to the Philippines, as you know, but I wouldn't categorize every Filipino as a scammer because I was scammed once. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they have a relationship with a Filipina and it goes wrong, and they just categorize the same, all the same. And another thing that I would like to clean up is death by 1,000 cuts. And there are quite a lot of videos out there about it, and I totally get that. I'm not trying to, to gloss this over by saying there is no such thing in the Philippines. There is, and it's because of the way it is here. You can suffer from anxiety, depression, waiting for this, waiting for that. The brownouts or the blackouts can drive people mental, especially when it's time after time after time after time. And it's just my phone. It's just the Philippines, and I've said this time and time again. It does take a special kind of somebody to actually live through these times where you are, I think, what have I done? I've done the wrong thing by coming to the Philippines. That, I think, is a normal feeling for many of us. I think the people who probably don't feel like that, who come to the Philippines, are the people who are traveling around the Philippines, the travel vloggers. And of course, when they stay in hotels, they don't really suffer brownouts like we do, because most of these decent hotels have generators. So as soon as there's a blackout, on with the generator. And so they don't really suffer that kind of anxiety, if you like. And it is hard living here. And I'm not going to gloss over it, people. It can be hard. But isn't it hard to live anywhere in the world? I think when I was in England, I worried about more things when I was there than I do here. Here, I just have bad feelings of brownouts, and when you go to a shop and you can't explain yourself properly what you want, and they say no more, sir, and then you look there and you say, there it is, it's there. It's because it's that communication breakdown. And I think you'll always get that here. And even if you go to the bigger cities and they speak really good English, I don't think that they can totally understand us, what we are really deeply saying. And I certainly don't understand a lot of them. I don't really. I don't. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, in a detrimental way, or a derogatory way. It's just, it's two countries colliding, if you like. It's, two different cultures colliding. And I think the more we try and understand this culture, the more it baffles me sometimes, like with the superstitions and things like that. Now, I'm not a superstitious person, my wife is very superstitious, so I respect her beliefs. But when she says to me this or that, and I'm trying to get my head around it, now, in the end now I just forget about it. I just say, yeah, okay, babe, yeah, if you want to do that, if you want to put some salt here, or some this or that, or this, she'll go out and get some kind of herbs out the garden and place that around the windows and doors, especially now we've got Zach. I just go along with it now because that's her belief. Like I said, it's two different cultures coming together, and sometimes they do collide because I think if you're not prepared to understand how things work in a different country, then you're just going to be at loggerheads with yourself. And you're just going to say, stupid people do this, that, and that. You can't be like that, really. Well, you can if you want to, but it's not going to do you any favours. So, transactional relationships, it happens all over the world, but I don't think every single relationship in the Philippines is transactional, regardless of age gap. Now, yes, when you see someone who's all like in his 70s, 80s, and they were like a 20-year-old, there's got to be, I mean, even me, and I'm quite open-minded, I think, well, that's probably to do with financial gain, transactional. But a lot of foreigners as well, when they come here, and they don't know what it's like with a Filipino. Like, for an example, you could be walking down the road and you want to hold your partner's hand. I'm not that kind of guy, so I don't do it. But I've heard that Filipinos don't like holding their boyfriend's hands in public. I don't know. It's just what I've heard. So many foreigners might take that as, well, they don't care for me very much because they don't want to show their, they don't want to express their love for me outside the house. Well, that's just how they are, I think. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a cuddly out in the street anyway. Or, wanting to hold hands out in the street. That's just not me. So I don't know about that because I don't do it. But, I mean, as for these Filipinos, can they truly love a foreigner? I mean, yes, of course they can. And I think people who say no, they don't. They just after you for your money. In some cases, they are. Of course, they are. That goes without saying. I'm not trying to deny that. But what I am denying is when people say that all relationships are transactional, and it's simply not the case, people. It's not. People have bad relationships all over the world. People have bad relationships in the Philippines. The difference is we've travelled like a long way to come here, so we might have a little bit more anger in us where something has gone wrong because we might automatically think, well, I've given up everything in my country to come to your country and you've took this from me, you've took that from me, then you've blown me out. I could understand how people would feel with that. But at the same time, we can't tar everybody and everything with the same brush just because we've had a bad experience. Like me, I had that bad experience, but I didn't think, oh God, I'll never get with a Filipino again because they're all the same. I didn't think that. It's just, it happens. It happens. And we have to protect ourselves as best as we can. But how can you protect yourself against something that hasn't happened? You can't keep having that doubt in your mind, think, well, like if I do get close to that Filipino, she might do me a wrong. You can't think like that, people. The telltale signs of women or men, it can happen on both. It's not just women, but there are telltale signs, like if they keep wanting money all the time or they keep demanding things. I think that's being very high maintenance, and I think perhaps that could be a sign. Or it might just be how they are. They might not be wanting to scam you, but they just might. Don't forget as well, Filipinos are very easily influenced by their friends and family. So when they are with you, you being the foreigner, you being what they think is the rich foreigner, and like I've said before, many foreigners in the Philippines are not rich. But they don't see that. They're, like you might explain to your Filipino, look, I've only got this, I've only got that, we've only got enough just to do this with and that with. But of course, their family and friends won't believe that. So they will be wanting them to do this and do that, and that puts pressure on your partner. So I think as soon as you get that straight with your partner, look, and say, look, I'm not. If you start to get influenced by them wanting this and wanting that, then it's going to harm our relationship, which I did with my wife's family. And things seem to have been lovely now for, 6 or 7 months or something. But people, don't think that all these relationships are transactional in the Philippines. There are many foreigners here that's been with their wives for much longer than I have, and they are still happy and feel very much in love. So that being said, people, I'm going to go. I thought I had to make that video because of the comment that I got. And if the Philippines is not for you, don't torment yourself. You know, like I said, give it time, but even after a certain amount of time, you still feel the same. Then rather than antagonize yourself and wind yourself up, perhaps it is time to bite the bullet and think, well, I've got to get on a plane and get out of here. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that because you've tried, you've given it time. But some things are just not meant to be for everybody. And that's it, people. I'm done. And I think it's quiet. I think this video is quiet. My little Zach's crying downstairs. Listen, people, thank you very much. And whatever you're doing, try and do it well. And I'm over and out. I'll see you next time, babe. Thank you, people. Bye-bye.